Hello guys, and welcome back to another video on the Oasis channel. Today I am stoked because one, instead of you guys seeing me with a man bun, I have decided to let my mane go wild. And two, because as some of you guys know, I am the founder and the CEO of Oasis, but I'm also the formulator of almost all of our products. And the one that I'm gonna talk about today is not coffee. Whoa, you guys see that shit? Damn. So why not coffee? Why do we drink coffee? Is it for the taste, or is it because we think it gives us energy? Or maybe it's both. You know, for me, when I started drinking coffee, I started to notice that my parents didn't even want me to ask them a question first thing in the morning. They needed to get their cup of joe, they needed to get their cup of coffee before they even wanted to speak. It's almost like they were zombies before they had their cup of coffee. As I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I wanted to start to test this out for myself, right? And so I was like, okay, like what does this offer? And I noticed that this caffeine would give me this little boost of energy, or seemingly energy. Throughout the course of my teenage years and into my early 20s, I developed a very severe codependency on caffeine. You know, the typical cycle. We wake up, we drink a cup of coffee, we go to work, we have a coffee break, so then we drink more coffee or maybe an energy drink, maybe hit the vape. Again, guys, just so you know, smoking, vaping generally contains nicotine. It's also a stimulant. And we go throughout our afternoons, we start to notice that afternoon crash. What do? We drink some more caffeine or potentially sugars. Now, not everyone is following this cycle, but many of us do. Now, one of the key components to caffeine is something called adenosine. And what this does, it basically blocks out the part of your brain that would feel tired. So when we're having caffeine later in our days, one of the main side effects is that it's affecting our ability to sleep, to go into deep rest. Now bear with me for a moment, because let's say we have caffeine sometime in the afternoon, they say after 2 to 3 o'clock, and we have that molecule inside of us that's signaling the brain to not feel tired. It's not actually giving us energy, it's just turning off the part of your brain that thinks or knows that you're tired. So when we go into nighttime, on top of the blue light from our phones, thoughts of the day, the thoughts of tomorrow, we're generally not getting very good sleep. It's one of the main side effects is from caffeine specifically. And you know, a lot of us drink our caffeine consumption through coffee. We're not sleeping well. We're not getting that deep rest that we actually need to rejuvenate. And guess what? Then we wake up in the morning and we're tired. And then guess what we do when we're tired in the morning? We go for more coffee or more caffeine. It doesn't mean that coffee is bad. It doesn't mean that caffeine is bad. It doesn't mean that our social media is always bad, or that, you know, driving a vehicle is always bad. Like, there's really no judgment here on what is right or wrong or good or bad. However, our goal with Oasis is to provide things that start to help the body, that start to create functional choices for you in your everyday life. There's other side effects to coffee, caffeine, like jitters, increased chances of anxiety, heart rate, blood pressure. We have a lot of issues sometimes with how much acidic volume there is, so acidic in the gut, right? It's not really good for the gut in that scenario, and it can also be very dehydrating. It makes you go to the bathroom, it makes you pee. So when you wake up in the morning, you know, from the time you go to bed to the time you wake up is generally the longest time that you've gone without intaking some kind of fluid. So you wake up and you sweat while you're sleeping as well. So you wake up and you're already a bit dehydrated. So what do? We drink coffee, it dehydrates us. It's a vicious cycle. We get it, we understand it, and that's why we created a solution. That is the not coffee. So here it is. Oh my God, it's so good. Not coffee was birthed because inside of our industry, there was many companies creating mushroom coffees or, you know, other variations that really just didn't taste that good. When I tested some of these other ones and I tested these mushroom coffees, sure, there's an added benefit of adding like reishi or some other types of mushrooms to coffee, but it's really not getting to the root. That coffee is an addiction that many of us are normalizing, and we're not quite aware of the side effects that it could be posing. Again, this isn't a rant on how horrible coffee is. I love the taste of coffee once in a while, and I enjoyed it for years of my life, as did many of the members on the team. But we need to be aware of how our energy is actually feeling. How are we feeling every day? And is coffee adding to this, truly adding to this, or is it taking away from this? We created Not Coffee. Now, why and what? We use 15 different herbs, mushrooms, and minerals, literally sourced from the roots and the mycelium, the stuff that's underneath the trees and the earth, all the way to ingredients and minerals found at the top of the Himalayan mountains. Things like shilajit, Himalayan salt. We added some natural sweeteners, mesquite, cinnamon. There's no sugars, there's no additives other than 100% organic, pure ingredients. Our mushrooms that we used are the fruiting body parts of the mushrooms. These are literally the most nutrient part of the mushrooms, and we used 8-to-1 and 10-to-1 dual extracted mushrooms, which means you're getting a lot more bang for your buck, way more. We didn't want to just create another product that had shitty ingredients, that was just to create more consumerism. We wanted to create a remedy, a therapeutic dose that could help support you in your days the ways that you wish coffee could, but it's been, really underwhelming in its effect. So know this formulation won't give you this shot of adrenaline, right? Something to note here is when we were drinking that caffeine, it's like shot of adrenaline, we produce cortisol, which is that stress hormone, and then we crash, and then we do this, and we're in these waves. It's very unbalanced, unsustainable. And when we are drinking caffeine or coffee all the time, we're constantly getting bombarded with the stress hormone cortisol in an unnatural, unhealthy way. Our product only contains 3 milligrams of caffeine through something called guarana root extract. 3 milligrams, a cup of coffee has 120 milligrams. So that's about a 1/40th of a cup of coffee. Very, very small amount. No sugars, there's no jitters, there's no shot of adrenaline or release of cortisol. We've incorporated herbs that are good for the gut as a source of a prebiotic for your bodies. We've included things to increase cognitive performance and recovery. We've thought about all of the things that we could make into this formulation. And yes, it can have a little bit of an earthy taste. Not a bad earthy taste, but an earthy taste, just like coffee, actually less bitter than coffee. And we've created it in a way that allows you to add whatever you want, your oat milk, your almond milk, some honey, so you can sweeten it up. We didn't add any sweeteners to it. At the end of the day, guys, there's no right or wrong. Coffee and caffeine isn't going to kill you necessarily. However, it is creating more stress on the body. It could be affecting the way that you're sleeping. It could be something that you are addicted to and that we are normalizing. We wanted to create a solution for this, only if you choose it. You don't have to, but if you choose it, we encourage you to try out the formulation to see how you actually feel when you break that addiction to coffee, when you put nutrients in your bodies, and when you're starting to be able to sleep more effectively, when you're not having something that's blocking your mind, reminding you if you're tired or not. We know that as we transition throughout our planet, throughout our world, that people are going to have to learn how to slow down just a little bit more, to calm down their nervous systems, to become more present. And we feel that coffee, caffeine is one of the things that is continuing to stimulate us, continuing to make us feel anxious and antsy and on edge. And we wanted to create a product that was a solution to that specifically. And what better way to name it than by simply calling exactly what it is, Not Coffee. We hope you guys enjoy it. Stay tuned for more videos as we go deeper into the science of caffeine and coffee and the solutions that we'll be providing to assist you. Much love, guys. Have a great day.